Welcome in to Greenville Grit, Greenville residents in touch on 103.7 WTIB. This is the local show that keeps you connected and in touch with the issues that affect what's happening in your community. Greenville Grit is sponsored by Ribeyes, Kid Construction, and Greenville Toyota. Now, here are your hosts for Greenville Grit, Terry Williams and Michael Overton.
Hello and welcome to Greenville Grit. I am Terry Williams.
And I'm Michael Overton. And Terry, good to see you this afternoon. We've got a great guest with Andrew Schmidt, Executive Director of Greenville's Convention and Visitors Bureau. Yes. Andrew, thank you for coming on the show.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Got a lot to talk about. There's some rumblings that are getting started of some of the things that you'd like to see come to Greenville, and look forward to the discussion we're going to have today on starting to educate the public, really, about what can go on, what you guys are doing within the CVB, but also what Greenville can do to continue to cement ourselves as the hub of the East.
Absolutely, yes.
That's
we
right.
do. We've spent some time with our board, and we've got some clear goals and objectives that we want to try to accomplish, and we can use the community's help in doing that.
That's awesome.
Sounds
Well,
good.
we always have to thank the sponsors that allow the show to go on, so thank you so much to Greenville Toyota for your continued support. If you're looking for a new Toyota or Scion or a new used car, go see Craig Gillis and the Greenville Toyota team. You can reach them on the web at greenvilletoyota.com, 321-3000, or across from Fresh Market on Memorial Drive. We also have the Overton Group, real estate professionals serving all of Eastern North Carolina in commercial real estate leasing and sales, and recently have just launched Overton Residential Properties, which I have one of my agents right here.
One
Terry
of them.
Williams just started with us. So
Yes,
if you're looking for a
very
new home,
exciting.
check out overtonresidential.com. Also, Ribeyes Steakhouse for a wonderful atmosphere, great steak, and just good times with family and friends. Visit them at the corner of Fire Tower in Arlington, as well as their location in Williamston. So we're going to take our 2-minute commercial break. We'll come right back, and we'll start with speaking with Andrew Schmidt. Be back in 2. Welcome back to the Greenville Grit. I'm Michael Overton, along with my co-host Terry Williams. And Terry, we have Andrew Schmidt on today,
Yes.
Executive Director of Greenville's Convention and Visitors Bureau. Again, Andrew, welcome to the show. Had a good meeting with you yesterday as you're starting to get some things going on and really starting to discuss probably the future of sports and sports tourism in the city of Greenville. So let's start out by telling people, what is sports tourism?
Sports tourism, I think a lot of people out there have kids that play travel ball. So sports tourism is really athletic tournaments and events. Each destination, like Greenville or Asheville, Greensboro, they all have a CVB like ours, and they recruit tournaments to come to Greenville and Pitt County, or if they represent Greensboro, they're trying to get them to Greensboro. And it's a big part of our future plans at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We've never had a full-time sports sales manager. We have one now. We've never had the relationships that we do now with some of our athletic facilities and the people that run those facilities. So we're really making headways in bringing tournaments in. And the idea, of course, is to bring economic impact to the area.
Well, explain that. Explain the economic impact of a family coming in for an event. How does that work?
That's a great point, Michael, because one analogy I like to use is if you go to a convention or meeting, you usually go probably by yourself because you have maybe kids at home, they need to be in school. So you're on your own. When we have tournaments, we have what we call support travelers. And support travelers are those people like mom and dad or brother and sister or grandma and grandpa that come along to see the athletic event as well. So the sports market is really lucrative because you have more people coming per person that's actually playing in the tournament. And that really adds up to a great economic impact into the community. So that's one of the reasons we like the sports tourism. Greenville is in my opinion, I've never been in a place that's more sports crazy than Greenville. People love their baseball here. They love their football. And it's a natural fit for us. We call it a niche in our industry. It's a niche market for us. So we're really wanting to expose tournament directors to the Greenville Pitt County area for tournaments. And we're doing fairly well so far, but there are some challenges as well.
Well, it's kind of free money, too, if you consider, if you're able to recruit them here, and this is what I've understood from previous conversations with you and mom, dad, and grandmother, and grandfather, and brother and sister. Say a family of 3 or 4 came in addition to the kid. You got 4 people. They go out to eat at a restaurant. They stay in a hotel room. They don't really use the facilities or the cost of the infrastructure of the city of Greenville outside of 1 or 2 days, and they're gone. So that money comes in. They're out of here.
That's right.
And we move on to the next group.
And in our industry, we call it clean money. So it's money that doesn't have to be allocated for other support services. We have so many people moving into Greenville and Pitt County right now, and that's wonderful. Brings in tax base.
Right.
But the city and the county have to turn around and provide services for those individuals moving in. The tourists that come in through sports tourism, they drop their tax base and then they go home. So you're not providing any extra services for those people. So it's a good source of tax base.
Explain how you get the income from that, because a lot of people don't realize when people stay in the hotels how you generate income from people
And you mean
staying.
Convention and Visitors Bureau?
Convention and Visitors Bureau, because I've had several people ask me when we talked before during really the bond advisory committee and various other ways, how is that going to economically help Greenville? I don't understand how you're going to make any money. They didn't really understand how, one of the ways. Besides more businesses opening up or coming, how you all would generate any income from that.
Well, that's a two-pronged question. The
Right.
CVB, we're charged with promoting the area, and we're funded through the hotel motel occupancy tax.
Right.
So not a penny of taxpayer money, people that live here, goes into what we do.
Right.
So bringing in those additional people will fill our hotel rooms, which will generate additional occupancy tax. That occupancy tax is actually split. It's a 6% tax. So let's say you paid $100 at a hotel, we would get $6 out of that. Out of that $6, the convention center debt service gets $3 to pay back for the expansion for the convention center and the building. 1% goes to the convention center marketing fund, and then 2% goes to our CVB.
Okay.
So a lot of other CVBs have a lot higher distribution of that percentage. 6% is the highest you can go in the state of North Carolina. So generating more funds for us would be more helpful because then we can market more for the
Right.
community. So that's one prong. The other prong is when you bring those tournaments in, you have people spending money in our restaurants, they're shopping. People don't realize, unless you have someone that plays travel ball that you go with, you're playing maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. So you've got to fill that other time. And
Right.
you want to fill that other time with people spending money in your community. So, and the girls do it much better than the guys. Our tournaments with girls, the moms will come and they'll take them out shopping. Sometimes the guys just sit in the hotel room, play Xbox or PlayStation, whatever.
So
But-
we need to
Right.
be focusing on female sports.
yeah, exactly. They will
That's
spend
what
more
we
money
talk about
than,
return. I mean,
than,
that's
than the
what
guys.
we need to
Yeah,
focus
they'll
on this.
spend more
Right.
money than the guys.
So who determines the breakdown of the 6%?
Well, that's a city ordinance. It's actually called an interlocal agreement. So
Okay.
when this goes way back when they were trying to figure out how to fund the convention center, they
Okay.
did not want to raise taxes. They did not want the citizens of Greenville or Pitt County to pay for that center. So they came up with this idea where they would take part of the occupancy tax and actually float the bond and then pay that bond back through
Okay.
that 3%.
So the CVB actually controls the convention center? Is that
No,
correct? Or how
absolutely
does
not.
this
No,
work?
we are two separate entities. The convention center is separate from what we do. The CVB collects the occupancy tax and then distributes it to the convention center. So the city actually owns the convention center, leases it to a private management company.
Okay.
They run it. Now the CVB uses it as a tool to market Greenville and Pitt County. Remember, we're supposed to generate economic impact for the whole area. So it's a great tool for us to bring conventions and meetings in. And that also creates a positive economic impact for the area. When you can bring in 2,000 people for the Methodist Conference for 3 days,
Right.
that's almost $1 million into local economy. So, but we are totally separate.
So you all used to have your location at the convention center. Now you've moved.
Right.
And you're in the uptown area.
We are. Yes, and that's been a good thing for us. It's really increased our walk-in traffic, and it's great. We want to be known that we work with the convention center, but our
Right.
missions are separate. So we want people to understand that we are separate.
Sure.
That's helped in that endeavor also.
So you can get back to talking about the
Yeah, I
sports
know, we
complex.
kinda rabbit
But that was
trailed over
important
here, but-
information too.
Oh, well, well, getting back on to sports tourism. One of the things, Terry and I had the opportunity to serve on the bond committee last year,
Right.
and we had a little irritation with how things ended up. But one of the things that did pass the bond committee, although not 100% of the vote, but it passed, was 13 million. Was that right?
That's right.
For a sports complex to go in. City council really did not give it any consideration, kind of shut it down pretty quickly. However, we're hoping, and I'm personally hoping, to see that kind of come back up.
I am as
Yeah, we are
well.
too.
Because there has been an extremely successful one in Rocky Mount, the city on the rise, as everyone knows Rocky Mount. But there's also been successful ones in many other communities. Wilson's got something that they've been doing, and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina's got a huge one.
Huge one.
Absolutely.
And Greensboro's got a massive one. I think you said
Greensboro
one of
is
the
probably
nicest
the
on East
example.
Coast.
Yes,
Right.
they're huge. They've generated about $150 million in economic impact from sports tourism in 2014. Don't have the
amazing.
2015 numbers, but that's the 2014 numbers for Greensboro.
So let's talk about what do you want to see
Well, I think the first thing, we were excited when it got mentioned in the bond, and then it actually got put in the bond, but we didn't really expect it to go much further because we hadn't spent a lot of time educating people about the value of sports tourism. And so, we understood that. So I think what we're really trying to do is make people aware that sports tourism matters. That the economic impact, if we're successful, actually saves taxpayers that live here money. They're paying $88.75 less in taxes each year because of what we do in the generation of tourism dollars. So that's good. Every resident should want us to succeed because they'll pay less in taxes.
Even the person complaining about the extra traffic you brought in for the weekend.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about traffic later. But I think the thing is we need to look at is it worth it to build a sports complex? Certainly, Rocky Mount's been very successful. They generated $6.8 million in economic impact.
And we understand they're about to expand it.
Yes.
And they're looking at an indoor sports complex actually. So they're looking at providing that indoor complex to go with the outdoor complex because there's so many different sports. I've been talking to groups and they said, "Oh, we need an auditorium for swimming. We don't have one," and we do.
Right.
I know a lot of volleyball parents. I'm tired of going to Raleigh and Greensboro to take our kids to volleyball. We need a volleyball complex. Yes, we do.
Yeah, there were people on our advisory committee that were interested in the swimming aspect.
Tammy Purdue?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's so much. There's so many needs. I mean, baseball and softball. We turn away baseball tournaments. We had a gentleman that just scheduled 8 tournaments with us in the spring every weekend. And then he said, "What about 13 and older?" And we said, "We can't help you."
Yes.
Because the rules, the base paths are different, the fencing's different.
Right.
And we've done everything we can. We've bought temporary fencing for softball to put at Boyd Lee. We're trying to do everything we can. But I think the lack of facilities really has hurt us.
Right.
And in a meeting that I was in yesterday, I kind of listed all the things that we've lost either because of facilities, because of lack of funding for sponsorships or bid fees, and also because of scheduling. It's tough to schedule in the fall here around ECU football weekends because you don't know until February when they're going to be at home. And tournament directors don't want to wait that long.
Right.
And when they have other options, they're going to take those options. But $2.5 million is what we have let go out of this community because of lack of facilities or scheduling problems.
Just in the last year?
Not even in a year. Ever since, because we started, Gray Workman, who's our sports sales manager, she started in April of last year. We've got the funding
So
together.
9 months, we've lost basically 2.5 million in economic impact.
Yeah, and that's a fair number. It's not an exact number because there's no telling that if we had bid on all these, that they would have all chosen Greenville. But it's a number that if everyone came, yes. But I think 3/4 of those we could have gotten. Maybe a few would have lost anyways. But
And our opportunity too, and we discussed this in the meeting yesterday, and Terry, I mean, we're the center of Eastern North Carolina.
Right.
If you take 95 West, you've got Raleigh and Greensboro, Charlotte, you've got just major municipalities. We're dead set in the center of Eastern North Carolina, and an opportunity to really pull people from all over the eastern part of the state here.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at, and I said this again yesterday at the meeting, from I-95 to the coast, up and down I-95, we have the land mass the size of Maryland, the state of Maryland. That's a lot of land.
That is.
So if you make Greenville the hub for sporting regional sporting events, and you can even look at Virginia Beach, you can carve down Myrtle Beach. We have people coming from all over the place for a soccer tournament this weekend, BC's soccer tournament. So Maryland, Virginia, those areas, they're in play. The southeastern states are in play, especially when you look at some of the baseball things we do with the Tournament of State Champions. So I don't have, I think big. I don't just think, hey, we're going to be a statewide destination. We can be a southeastern destination. We've had rugby here, a collegiate D2 rugby tournament here, which brought teams from all over the place. We have a fencing tournament this weekend.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Andrew, because that was one of the things I was going to ask too. A lot of people, they hear the travel ball, they think baseball or volleyball, or soccer ball. But that's it.
There's so much more.
So much bigger than that.
Sure.
Talk about some of the, fencing was one, rugby, lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
How many people did we bring in on
lacrosse? Sport here.
It is an up-and-coming sport. Last spring we had total about 5,000 lacrosse players here over 3 days.
Unbelievable.
That was all day travel. And people say, well, day travel doesn't matter. Day travel absolutely matters.
Does.
They're still eating here.
Well, some of the traveling baseball we did last summer, we didn't go spend the night when we went to Wilson or to Rocky Mount, but we had to eat twice because we had one game and then we had a break between. So we ate lunch, we had to leave and eat lunch, then we had to come back for the game, then we ate dinner, then we came home. So those people are still doing that. Well, there's also, I think, a market for, other than just the local tournaments that you're talking about, as grouping tournaments. When we were getting our information from Rocky Mount about what they had achieved in, say, a 4-year tracking period, they were interested in also doing even larger tournaments where part of it was going on in Rocky Mount, part of it was Wilson, part of it would be here, and grouping those together for even larger festivals or events or whatever. So the sky's the limit, really, if we could have the facility.
There is, and you're exactly right. Some of the World Series, baseball World Series, would take really baseball fields from I-95 to the coast.
Right.
And that's, people, especially the parents and the kids that play travel ball, that's nothing to them. They're used to
That's
traveling
right.
every weekend. They don't mind staying 30 miles away from where they're going to play because maybe they'll play where they're staying the next day.
That's right.
And we already do that with some of our tournaments. We have larger baseball tournaments. One of them is called Dynamic Baseball, and they utilize Clark LeClaire. They utilize high school
Right.
fields here. They're in Snow Hill. They're in Kinston. So, we're used to, and tournament directors are used to doing that. The disadvantage is when you work with some of your smaller tournament directors, they would much rather be in Rocky Mount
Right.
because they can stay on site with 8 fields. They can do up to 128 teams in a weekend in Rocky Mount. The most we can do here is about 32 in
I'll
a
tell
weekend.
you something else. People stay and watch other games. Like the friends of my grandson were spread out on other teams coming from Greenville, but they were, and they would stay over and watch other games, and so there's income just everywhere as far as mostly food, but ticket sales as well because the games were not free.
The other thing
know.
that people don't think about is there's also some macro impacts, some impacts that are kind of not something you would normally see or think about straight away. And one of them is community exposure.
Right.
Greenville and Pitt County, we sell Greenville and Pitt County. That's our job at the CVB, and it is so much more than what people think it is. Especially the further west you go, what people think Greenville's all about, they don't have a clue.
Right.
How nice it is, how many amenities we have, the infrastructure that we have. So when you bring these tournaments in, you're exposing the community to first-time
Right.
attendees. You never know who's going to be in that group of people. It could be someone looking to relocate a business, someone looking to move, someone looking for a different community to live in, someone that is in charge of other tournaments says, gosh, I've never been to Elm Street
Right.
before. This is a great facility. I'm going to bring my tournament here. Or maybe it's a meeting and event planner. You just don't know who's coming
right.
and why they're coming and what their other needs might be. So getting that exposure is also beneficial. It's more of a macro impact, but it's certainly important as well.
I agree.
Well, I know you had kind of gave me a sheet that had some goals on it. Maybe we can discuss some of that. I know we want that community involvement. We want to get people to buy into this
Exactly.
thing, and whether we try to put this on a bond this November is very unlikely,
No,
but
I don't
because
think that would
the
happen.
amount of time. But whether it's next November, and that could happen. I think it's definitely going to be important, and we did discuss this in the meeting, is there are a lot of communities that are looking at this. And if you can't support, if every single town comes up and puts 50 baseball fields and indoor
Right.
facilities, you're going to start having some dilution. So we got to make sure that whatever we do, we head down the right path to continue, again, to cement ourselves as the place to come, as really Sportstown USA.
Right, and that's I think the first thing we're talking about putting together a group, and for now I'm calling it the Greenville Sports Alliance, just getting some people
Right.
together to talk, and we started that process at a meeting yesterday, and I think that everyone understands that the first thing that we really need to do is talk to the community about maybe supporting a study, a market study to see A, can we support a sports facility? B, if we can, what kind of facility would it be? And C, is it indoor, outdoor? D, is there, what's a return on like this? If we have a $14 or $15 million bond, how long is it going to take to get a positive ROI off that investment? So we're not going to go into this situation blind. We do know for a fact that it has a positive economic impact. We do know that it helps put heads in beds and people in restaurants and people shopping in stores. But we don't know is what kind of true impact it would have if we did build a complex. So I think that's the first step and the correct step in the order of business is to let's find some folks to help us really
Right.
ascertain what we have, the facilities that we do have, what we would need to add to be successful.
That
Well, Terry,
sounds
I think
great.
it's probably
Great
a good
idea.
time to take our second break.
Think so.
And then we'll be able to come back and kind of wrap it up with Angie Schmitz. We'll be back in a minute.
Welcome back to Greenville Grit. Today we have had Andrew Schmidt with us, who is the Executive Director,
That's
is that your
correct, yes.
title, of the Greenville Pitt County Convention and Visitors Bureau. That's a lot to
It's
say.
not easy to stay. Yeah, we're thinking about, maybe shortening the name.
CVB.
I don't know.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's why we go
Yeah.
CVB. But
CVB. Had great discussion about some things coming up that you all are planning to educate the public about. But let's wrap up the show today with some other information you wanted to share, maybe about the convention center.
Yeah, just,
Okay.
we have some other goals and objectives that we want to accomplish throughout
Sure.
the year. And of course, one of those is to, increase convention and meeting business in Greenville. With the expansion of the convention center, it really gives us an opportunity to go after some groups in business that we were not able to touch before.
Right.
Really because we didn't have the breakout rooms, which are the newly added rooms in the $4.2 million expansion. And also because our convention center, prior to the aesthetic upfit, was really just honestly another building with meeting space. It really wasn't. Our meeting planners would say, it's nice space. It's not that aesthetically pleasing, and that was just being
Right.
honest. If you have not been inside the convention center, stop in. I know you guys have,
Right.
but anyone listening out there watching, it is night and day, and we've seen it already. Our first convention in there was the Association of County Commissioners, and they had been here about 3 years prior to when they came back this year, and their mouths dropped. I mean,
That's
they were
great.
just like, this is not the same place. They said, this is just as nice as Raleigh, as Charlotte. And so we've got to fill
That's
that
great to
space.
hear.
Yeah, isn't it nice?
Yeah,
It's nice to
very
be
nice to hear.
to be put in with those folks. But that filling that space is vital because now we have the opportunity to bring what we call citywide business, and that would fill more of our hotels, and that's what you want for convention and meetings business. You want to get that citywide. Of course, it does increase traffic a little bit, and people are there, but it's also, again, stimulating the economy, and that's very important. And you have all those same impacts: restaurants, shopping,
Right.
hotels, people exposed to your community for the first time. All those benefits exist on the sales and marketing side when it comes to conventions and meetings too, just as it does the sport. So we want to make sure that people are exposed to that convention center. It is outstanding space.
Right. That's great. So if people that have groups and meetings throughout the community want to get in touch with you or someone in your organization, they'd like for you to come and share what you all do and what you have to offer the community, how would they get in touch with you?
And that's a great segue into one of our other goals for this year is to educate our community about what we do and why we're relevant. Most people on the street, if you say, what does the Convention and Visitors Bureau do? They really don't know. They don't know. But the impact of what we do when we're successful impacts them, whether they know it or not. So we would love to get in front of any groups. In fact, our marketing plan says we need to talk in front of 2 groups a month.
Right.
Or going 2 shows a month just to educate people about what we do and why we're important. So they can call me at my office number. It's 329-4200. Go to our website, visit greenvillenc.com. Email me. We'll be happy to talk to you about what we do and how we can work with your groups. We have 2 wonderful sales managers. Gray Workman, our sales manager for sports. Tarsha McCoy is our convention sales manager. They work with our groups. We have a wonderful convention services manager that has free services that we offer to our groups to make their job easier, save them time and resources. And just a quick plug for Ethelene, she's our CSM. She won the CSM award for the year in North America. She was the best CSM ranked for the whole Canada and United States. So she knows what she's doing, and she was given that award. So we can help you make your job easier. We want people to think about Greenville as the place that they're going to hold their convention and meeting. There's a lot of benefits to doing that here, and our Uptown District is a great leisure attraction for those folks when they're off from their meetings.
So the video that's out, Visit Greenville NC, comes through you all?
We did that video.
It's very good.
Yeah, thank you very much. In fact,
It's not long enough.
3 minutes and 16 seconds, actually.
I know, it's really good though. I love it. So you want more of it when you watch it. But
Well, the good news for you, Terry, is we're working on a meetings and event video and a sports
Good.
destination video, not at the same
great.
time, but
Yeah.
they take a lot of work to get
Really
these videos
good.
Well,
done.
Andrew, and I want to give you guys kudos too. I mean, this is my home where I've been for 41
Me too,
years, and I
yeah.
tell people that all the time. And really, until the last year or two, I've never really heard anything from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So your goal is to become a more recognizable entity while increasing the recognition of the value of economic
Exactly.
impact. I'm glad that you're there. I've enjoyed getting to know you, but I'm really impressed over the last year to 2
think so,
years
too.
of how much more I'm
Well,
hearing
thank
and
you.
seeing, because it is an educational thing. I think a lot of people probably didn't realize we had one.
No, and you don't, because most of the people that use you are visitors and so forth, but we can be a great local resource too. And it's been a ball. I've been the director now for a year and a half almost, and the staff gets all the credit. The staff is outstanding at our office, and our goal is to educate people inside out, inside Greenville and outside of Greenville, why Greenville and Pitt County is special. It is a special place. It is a really neat place. It's an up-and-coming place. And everybody, and I'm not exaggerating, I know I'm paid to promote Greenville, but everybody that comes here for the first time, it's more than they think it is, and they're
Right.
really impressed. And so that's half the battle right
So that'd be
there.
our new tagline: more than you think it is.
No, well, our tagline used to be more than you expect, and that was not popular,
More than you
so we're not
expect.
doing that again.
Well, Andrew, thank you.
Thank you
so
guys
much
for having me.
coming
Appreciate
on.
it.
It has been
Enjoyed
a
it.
great
Yeah.
conversation. Again, visit greenvillenc.com.
.com, yep, and check out our new videos
Your
right
phone
on the
number is
homepage.
329
4200.
4200. If you got questions, love to get you involved too. You can hear us again Friday night, 6:30, Saturday morning, 9:30. Thank you again to Greenville Toyota Ribeyes and the Overton Group. And until next week, we'll see you back at the Greenville Grit.